I went through a major layoff years ago, and I tried to think of it the same way. I mean, at first I was devastated, but I thought, maybe this is an opportunity to have a happy childhood, like a second chance, to either repick the same thing or go off in another direction.
That's right.
Although, unfortunately, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say, because then at that point, you want to, really examine what is it that you really want to do. And this is some real deep inner thinking that you might want to work with somebody on, rather than just trying to, do it all by yourself. And I've done, a variety of different things. One tip that I give for part of an assessment would be to say, ask 5 to 7 people 3 questions, and then just gather in. One would be, what are my major strengths? What are my most transferable skills? And then the third one is, what kind of an environment do you see me in? And then they gather this in, and it just is powerful messages from their friends and people who know them. And it's just, completely off the wall sometimes from what they had thought that they, that what kind of things that they really wanted to do.
So maybe they've been hard on themselves, but the friends see how
that's right.
What a beautiful person they are and the skills they have, and they remind them.
Right. Well, sometimes we also build up our own roadblocks. We present our own barriers. So we'll say, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, that's not for me. And this could be from peers or parents or, all these old messages that are coming in. So it's a good idea to actually get somebody outside to say, yes, you are worthwhile. This is something that you can do. And it's very uplifting, generally, for people to, get these messages from their friends.
And even though a resume is down the line, getting this kind of input, maybe you could begin to structure a resume. Would you actually believe the things that are, you're not just putting down a bunch of general things, but you're actually remembering actions, and it's been just verified and validated by your friends, right? So
that's true. Well, and then tie it in with the assessments as well, because I think of it as giving you a language, not only for your resume, but for interviewing as well. And so all the language that you're going to be picking up from the values, you get a few key words that you can just kind of say, yes, these are the 3 things. Or, a little bit about the strengths or your interests, something like that. And it really develops then into the job search strategies that you can use beyond.
I've seen some people just come alive. It's like we work on the resume, and instead of them saying, led this meeting, designed this, did this, they actually remember specific incidents where they had a major accomplishment, how they did it. They start to believe it. I mean, because they say, yeah, damn, I was good at that. I did these 3 things in this. And then,
can you use that word?
No, I can't. I didn't say it.
No, okay.
But then they see a pattern through the different jobs they had, that they repeatedly are efficient or are thinking of the customer, and then they can use those buzzwords in their pitch, right? Is that kind of what you're saying a little bit?
Well, when you're talking about the skills, I have them go through a series, and they circle what is it that they really like to do. So it ties skills and interests at the same time. And then you have the skill sets, and you hear that so much, that it's so important to have your skill sets. And of course you get that kind of in 3 or 4 areas. You have that in mind. You do it, but it's just validated, that much more. I know you were saying something about, there was something else that you had mentioned about the skills in the resume.
Oh, I think they see a pattern. They come alive in it, and they see a pattern throughout it, and then they can make a pitch based on some of the things that they say, hey, I'm the type of person that does this, this, and this. Right. That's what I was saying.
Well, one of the things that struck me when you said that was, here's the accomplishment story, but then you want to quantify it, and you mentioned, here's what I gained and gathered from it. So quantify it with a percentage, a number, something about how you did it. There's about 5 different ways. If you come up with that, a dollar amount perhaps that you, that fit in.
Even if you approximate it. I mean, I tell my clients, even if you approximate it, this is a 50% increase or approximately such and such. And not only do they believe in the resume more, but the potential employer says, I can see what this person's going to do for me.
A better picture of
what's in it for me, that kind of a thing.
That's right.
So let's move to one of the groups that's near and dear to your heart.
Oh, right.
The people that are facing a transition to retirement. And you're going to have to tell me what that is, because I'm not sure what the time. And there have been a lot of people these days who put so much money into the stock market. I mean, that was their retirement, right? So what is retirement? So can we talk again about people that are transitioning to work outside of maybe the conventional job they had? And the issues they're facing.
Sure. And actually, it started about 5 years ago when I really, began to be interested in the older cohort group. It's the Third Age Coalition is a group of career professionals, and we just keep, finding out all these new things about how to work with the older adults. They can go in any direction. They may choose to go back to work because, like you say, they've lost their retirement nest egg. But at the same time, they can look back and say, I've got a lot of choices. This is not just, zeroing in on this and I have to put blinders on, but be very open-minded about how they're approaching that part of it. And so it's really kind of, it's a fun task to work with an older adult. For me it is. And I think...
What's the fun part? Tell me.
The fun part is that they have so many options. The hard part is to say, okay, now which option am I going to pick, right?
Gee, that's a nice problem to have, isn't it? It's a different problem,
yeah. So, and it is because they can look back and see all the things that they've done and enjoyed, and then they can, pick and choose and things like that. And sometimes, magically, a position will appear. Magically, sometimes it doesn't. But, basically, they have a good idea of where they're going to go. But it may mean that they're not going to do full-time. It might be a part-time job. It may mean that they're going to be moving. So location is very important. Where do they want to be living? And we do workshops around, this, and we prefer, actually, if there's a significant other person in your life, to be able to make sure that they're pulled in and are thinking along the same lines and working through, the same problems. Because you could have somebody come home and retire, and let's say it's a husband, and they take over the kitchen, and it's not their.
I think it might be the television set. I'm not sure.
It could be that too. But I mean, they might just rearrange the kitchen, and that isn't.
How dare they?
I know. So anyway, that's there's a lot to be worked through.
So you're conveying it in a much more positive way than I thought you might. I thought you might say, with ageism and maybe they're feeling that they can't do something. Instead, there are a lot of opportunities here. This is a much more hopeful type of a situation.
Oh, I think it is. I really do, because there's so many positions that people, a lot of times they'll go into being, in their own business and do an entrepreneurial. So if that's the case, it really opens up a lot of opportunities for them.
Maybe it's the first time they've been their own boss.
And maybe they've been wondering what it's like all along. And I can do better than this person or whatever, and I'm going to try it.
They can ask themselves for a raise and all that kind of thing, argue with themselves. We only
fire themselves?
We only have a couple of minutes left, so I want to make sure that we discuss how people can get the help they need. How would you recommend somebody go and seek some sort of help, either through coaches, or if you thought it was therapy, if it was more that, and what they should look for in getting help, regardless of which one of these transition groups they're in?
Right. I think probably, like for instance, if you're looking for a therapist, a mental health therapist, calling up a hospital or talking to a friend, or but for all of them, get at least 3 people that you could talk to and see how you can work with them. Do you seem to resonate? Is there something about that person that just feels like home, that you're comfortable with them, that you feel that you can collaborate on your future? Because it's very important that you're not going to be told by somebody, but that you have, the answer is in you. That's
actually a good question, between being told what to do, like advice, direct advice, or being guided.
And that's a big difference, because an advisor is somebody, like you said, they will give you advice. I can't do that. I'm a career counselor, which is a guidance person, and I got a master's in it. I've got registered professional career counselor. All of this is geared towards knowing how to work with somebody, and if you wanted to, Richard Bowles' book, What Color's Your Parachute? He has in the back part. You can find my name in it, but in the back part are listings by state of all of the career counselors.
You know what?
We're done?
We're done.
Oh my gosh.
Believe it or not, there's so much more I could ask you.
It's been wonderful. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you so much for being on the show. And thank you for watching You're Hired. If you have any input for us on this specific show, or any other questions you might have about jobs and careers, please feel free to contact me at steve@bayareacareercoach.com. And the website's www.bayareacareercoach.com. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on You're Hired. And thank you for being on You're Hired.
Enjoyed it. Thank you very much for having me.